This is All Things Age with Garrett, and I'm Garrett. We are on location, at least virtually, in Burgaw, North Carolina for the 36th anniversary of the Then and Now Silver Bullet film and location video. This is a movie based on Stephen King's book cycle, The Werewolves. He actually wrote the screenplay for this movie. This movie was filmed in 1984, came out in 1985. We know that in 1986, he filmed he released, came out with Maximum Overdrive, which he wrote screenplay and directed. But this is one of like 4 movies of Stephen King done in Wilmington, North Carolina, in the Wilmington area. This is Burgaw, and this is actually the first scene of where we see Corey Haim, Marty, in Silver Bullet. And let's see, right there, you see I'm there. I was there a few weeks ago doing the filming. And I did this video. I was doing my intro, and there was things were going really good, and there was a fire truck, a siren. You hear it. It started getting louder and louder, and then the wind picked up, and you hear the wind and picked up in the audio of the video. And I just kept trucking along, probably doing better than I am doing now, doing it virtually. But I was there, and it's like I kept rolling with it, but I listened to it later and it's just really bad. So I couldn't put it in there. It really just sounded bad. But it was really cool because this is the first time we see Corey Haim in the Silver Bullet. That was his wheelchair, his motorized wheelchair. And this is right when he comes up, and this is when he comes up with a scene with Brady and Jane. And Brady was in a tree. Jane was walking up, and he had a snake, and he scared her. The whole thing like that. But this is the first time, like I said, the first time that we see Corey Haim in the movie. And I was talking about this is supposed to be Tarker's Mill, Maine, but this is actually Burgaw, North Carolina, and which is playing the role of Tarker's Mill. And like I said, this was like the first of, or this actually the third Stephen King film filmed in the Wilmington area. But this is the first movie filmed in Burgaw, North Carolina. So this is really cool that Burgaw has since gone on to do a lot of other stuff, a lot of other movies, a lot of other TV shows. But one famous movie is called I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, even Johnny Galecki was in this, but to my right and to left of the screen when you're watching, but to my right and filmed this is called Harold's Department Store, and that is where I think Jennifer Love Hewitt worked in that store, and that's where the killer comes and comes after her. And he comes right into the front door, and I'll show you. I had the camera go that direction. I'll show it to you. But this is like I said, this is right here, right in front of that store. But this, like I said, there's been a lot of other, movies and TV shows filmed. One of those was Under the Dome with Stephen King, and I'll talk more about that later. And that is Chester's Mill, Maine, and it's also, so Tarker's Mill and Chester's Mill share a little similarities here, but we'll talk about that more later in the video. But I think I have all the locations for all the scenes of Silver Bullet. And this is episode 1. I hope there'll only be episode 2. I try to condense it as much as I can. I know I give you like the Blu-ray version of like behind the scenes sometimes, and I talk way too much, but that's part of the fun of this. But there's a lot more film locations for Silver Bullet than there was in Maximum Overdrive. I did the Maximum Overdrive film location video last, and there's a lot more film locations for Silver Bullet, but I'm going to try to cover these as much as I can in order, and we're going to go look at them, and we're going to start right here, right down the street here in Burgaw, and it's more that way. Yep, it's going that way, and we'll start there. And then we're going to go to Wilmington, and then I think we'll be back in Burgaw, and we're going to be in Wilmington again, and then Castle Hayne. So there's a lot of different locations for this. And so this is one of my favorite movies, Stephen King films. When I was a kid, loved this movie. I had this on. I rented it. I copied it on VCR, my own VCR. tape and I had my own copy of it, and I watched this. And so the Silver Bullet, love the actual Silver Bullet. The second one especially was really cool. I'm a big Corey Haim fan and all the stuff that he did. And so this is, and of course, Gary Busey and Megan Follows are all great. But, you know, Gary Busey is also another personal favorite of mine. So looking forward to doing this video and sharing it with you. So let's go take a look now.
The last full moon of that spring came a little more than a month before school let out for summer vacation. Our town's long nightmare began that night.
All right, this is the location for beginning the movie where Arnie Westrom, James Gammon, he's fixing the railroad track. These cylinder tanks here were not, they were like buildings back then. They were like old warehouse buildings, but they have now, they got tore down at, I don't know, the 90s at some point in time. This got replaced. But right down there, this is where he would have, the werewolf would have been kind of through the bushes and coming through, and right down there. And this is where it's played by James Gammon, who's, most people know him from Major League as the manager in Major League, and maybe Nash Bridges. I think he's the dad of Nash Bridges and Don Johnson in that movie, or that TV show. But he's singing the Rheingold beer. It's not frosty, it's not sweet, or it's not bitter, it's not sweet. Give me that frosty, the frosty treat, something like the Rheingold. What's really cool was that Gene Shepard, who was the voice, the Christmas Story narrator, and that's his story. He used to do the Rheingold beer commercials for the New York Mets on the radio, and he does some good ones. So it's really cool that I'll see if I can interplay that into this video. But
it's not bitter, not sweet, extra dry flavored treat. Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer?
You know, they're always talking about inventing a universal language. Let me tell you, whenever I think of this, I think of my old man. What a picture. I see my father sitting at the kitchen table. He is opening a can of beer. He'd take that first big swallow of beer on a hot, steamy day, and there was just no kidding.
Video, but yeah, but that would have been the background there, and he came down, and it probably was about there because it shows it during the daytime from underneath the tracks. Right where those connect. So, pretty cool to be here at night. It's the very beginning of Silver Bullet. Yeah. Brady runs over the bug at the very beginning, right here. He's like, "Yeah."
Remember the devil's ham?
This is Tarker's Mills, where I grew up. And this is how it looked that spring. A town where people cared about each other as much as they cared about themselves.
So this would be where the picnic scene area was at the very beginning of the movie. And over there would have been to the right of the sidewalk going up toward the courthouse. The area would have been where the stage was for the Medku Drive and the town picnic. This was the first movie filmed in Burgaw, right here at the courthouse. It ended up being the backdrop here, the courthouse, the backdrop of the movie. Several times it was used. This is also, I'll mention this a little bit more later, but also uses the Chester's Mill courthouse and under the dome. And then over here would have been the magnolia tree, and that's where Jane overhears Stella talking, and I think I can go here and find something over there that maybe references. But it was, I looked at Google Maps, that magnolia tree was here, I don't know, it was 2008. I can't remember exactly what the date was. I looked it up. It's like they've cleared out a lot of trees out here, but it was still here. I mean, within the last, I think, 10 years or so. Speaking of Stella and her boyfriend, we are here on Park Avenue in Wilmington. This is the house that was Stellas House in the movie. It would have been nighttime. It had been raining, and then this is the first time we see the werewolf. Really, but the werewolf approaches the house, and there would have been a trellis on the front that would have climbed up, went through that top window in the front there into Stella's bedroom. This is, like I said, the first time we really see the werewolf. He does have a lot of bear-like features. I think it's kind of scary. It's a good scene. It's a really good scene there. It's kind of scary, especially for the time frame, and you can really see what the werewolf can do as well. But then we go to the school scene, and we're coming right back here to Park Avenue. This is a school for Silver Bullet. It's a former Blount Elementary School. It is now a Career Readiness Academy here in Wilmington. Marty would have been coming down the Silver Bullet. Right about there, we would have had a glimpse of parking lot back when the kids were playing. There's a basketball court that's still there. I think you see some goals back there in the shop, but it's kind of like right here. It's the last day of school in Silver Bullet, and then Marty escorts Tammy home, and they go by Stellas House on the way to her house. So after Marty and Tammy leave the school, they end up coming down this road right here. This is Park Avenue. This is the house where Stella lived on, where she was murdered, and whether you see him coming down. You see him down here, but they end up passing the Stellas house. Okay, so here's where they come down. You see the stuff to the right. This is Stellas house, but you see him coming down from this angle. Maybe it's just too far of a shot, but then they coming up, and they come to Stellas house. So you see him come from this direction after they make that turn on Park Avenue, and they look up and they see the police. The police are there, and there's a police barricade, police investigation on the signs, and they both had this worried look on their face, like something bad has happened in their town. They realize it, and then he takes her on back to her house, which I think it's only like a mile and a half from the school to here, which is realistic, but I think it's like a 20-minute drive to where Tammy's house is from here. So not very realistic, but that's what I talk about all the time, is movie magic. I love it. We're gonna go take a look at her house now. After Marty and Tammy pass Stella's house on Park Avenue here in Wilmington, he escorts her home to Castle Hayne Road, and this is the location of where the Sternfuller house would have been, and they would have came down this road right here. You don't see much of that. You just see them turn into the driveway. Would have been their dirt driveway. The road is now out here, but right here in front of me, looking toward the camera here, this is how the road used to come right this way, and this is how the road turned. And there was in some old Google pictures you can see there was some cinder block type edging around the front of the house, the houses coming down this way, and then it got down to here, and then this is where for a while it was just wide open. It was nothing. The house had been gone for a long time. But this is about where in the corner, about where it would have been here. There's now a new subdivision coming, Preservation Point. Looks like it's gonna be beautiful, but I would have loved to have seen this before it got tore down. And span this way. We saw that there was the water tower that was up above there, and it's been gone since like the mid-90s. It was tore down, and that would have been a great landmark. But through aerial footage, you can see where this is about right at the location. And I would look and see about some of these. They did leave some trees up in the back, and this would have been very close to where the road would have been going down Tammy's driveway. So there'd been a power pole or a telephone pole right here on the right-hand side, be on my right, but it would have been on when Tammy and Marty would go down the driveway, it would have been on the camera's view from the left. So you can see that in the picture. And then also, if you look back at Google, I think 2019, there's a telephone pole, that power pole, whatever it is still there. It's in view, and I think I'll try to show it to you here in the video. But this would have been where the driveway would have been. And her dad was a piece, man, Milt. I don't think anybody cried when he died in the movie. The guy, James Bafko or something, that's his name, did a wonderful job with the role. He was so funny in some of the right before the werewolf gets him out here in the greenhouse. He was watching some NWA wrestling. That kind of shows you too about this was North Carolina and not Maine. But he was like, "Get him! Get him! He's gonna tear you up." It's like he had some great lines. It's like, "Oh, it hurts my parts." And then of course he had, when he first saw Marty, he was telling Tammy, "Come in, help your mama with the dishes." He was, called Marty a cripple and all this other kind of stuff. It was like, so I don't think anybody, but he played that role well. I don't know what the guy's really like. Hope he's not that way in real life. I'm sure he's not. His acting, but it was just great. I mean, I thought he was, in some way he was funny. In other ways, you kind of were like, oh, repulsed by him. Like I said, you probably, no one was upset when he died, but in the movie, he's probably one of the few characters that you didn't have any remorse for. We're gonna go check out Virgil's about where he was about running out of gas, and I like the guy who played him in the movie as well. So Marty would have left Tammy. He would have came in right down this direction right here and pulled on in. I don't think that building was there, but right here would be Virgil's. It's now called Fred's Paint and Body Shop. But this is the location of Virgil's. On the way here, I passed, direct shot, Marty would have passed the baseball field for Maximum Overdrive where the soda machine goes crazy and throws out cans at the coach and the kids. Passed right by on the right-hand side to get from Tammy's house to Virgil's. Just passed it, looked at it again. You can check out, did a film location video for all the Maximum Overdrive locations. So it's so this was filmed first though. This movie was filmed before Maximum Overdrive, but that would have passed us. They would have passed us the baseball field, or Marty would have, on the way to fill up here at Virgil's. You see, this is the Pender County Courthouse. This is Tarker's Mill Courthouse in Silver Bullet. This is where the sheriff and the mayor talk. Ask him if he's got any leads, and he goes, "We're working on it."
Hello. Well, you got any leads?
I'm working on it, Mayor.
Mayor?
Working on it. And then it goes to Andy's sporting goods store. It gets a little montage of different places, the Thayer's house and the little boy playing outside.
Come on, get inside.
people get scared, and Mrs. Thayer goes to her house, and this is it. It's 1601. I think this is 4th Street, and this is the house where she goes into. Mrs. Thayer is the teacher in the town. That's more talked about in the script. It's not really mentioned in the movie, but this is the angle which I think you would have seen from earlier when Mrs. Thayer gets into her house and she's worried, she's scared. And then Jane would have came up this way with her cart. She's collecting the bottles and would have came up there to the door. But this was actually, I read on one of the YouTube comment pages that this house, the house that they used was their actual, their name was Jones, and she was an actress, and this is her and her husband. This is where they actually lived. But I found this location back at the end of August, and then that led to this other location that I found, which is right over here, and we're gonna take a look at it. Okay, the man's working his yard, so I don't want to come up too close and bother him, but this is the location where the little boy was playing outside, and the mom comes out and grabs a hold of him. I think she calls him David, and grabs him up. But this is right to show you, let's pan. There's the Thayer house, and just panning back, and this is the house where the little boy was outside playing. I think there were some more bushes over here to the right that were kind of overgrown on this ledge, but I think you can see the 309 maybe on the outside, but that's right there on that little ledge where that's the house where the little boy was playing. So when I found the Thayer house, that led to finding this house really close by.